be more of a steward of the Lord's money. We love to give, but we want to give more. I want to make sure if we're going to let him invest in our other regular stocks, which outlet would you recommend I use to screen the businesses that I don't want to support? Because we're struggling Christians like everybody, but we don't want to get involved with anything that's the Disneys of the world and all that.
Yeah, a couple of options there. One would be if you've already settled on your son or son-in-law doing this, then you'd want to, hopefully he has the ability to provide that screening for you, or use one of the faith-based investing fund families that we talk about here in this program. You'll find the list of them on our website at faithfi.com. Just click on the show and you'll see a lot of great companies, Timothy and Eventide and One Ascent and LifePoint Portfolio. So that would be a great way to go, is just choose one of those fund families that does all of that for you. If you wanted to build your own portfolio, you certainly could do that. If he doesn't have the ability to do that, typically advisors will use something called eValuator, and the letter E and then Valuator. There is some public-facing free solutions out there. One is called Inspire Insight, and you'll find it at inspireinsight.com. And literally, you can put in any ticker, whether that's a mutual fund or a particular company, and you will get all of the data on it, the negative and the positive. And you'll be able to see exactly what you want, and it'll tell you what percent exposure. It'll even score it. Anything below zero is a negative, and anything above zero is something that they would say it should be invested in, or at least considered. But inspireinsight.com will give you, I think, what you're looking for.
Very good. And my personal hope is that he is more familiar with what you're all about, and because he's a great young man, but he's not full on board with the involved as much as I think he could be.
Well, we'd love for him to check it out. Have him go to kingdomadvisors.com, and he can learn more about the work that we're doing to equip and disciple financial advisors just like him who want to help their clients be wise and faithful stewards of God's money. Hey, God bless you, Tommy. Thanks for being on the program today, sir. You sound like a wonderful, God-fearing man trying to be a good steward just like we all are. We appreciate it. Hey, Mike in Texas, I understand you have some cash on the sideline right now. You want to get a little better rate of return. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me help you with that. I've got just a few seconds left. If you want a company that shares your values, check out the Christian Community Credit Union at joinchristiancommunity.com. If you're just looking for the opportunity with the best return or yield on a high-yield savings, go to bankrate.com, and you can find those that have the best options. It's going to be an online bank, but bankrate.com will give you a complete list so you can pick the one that's the best fit for you. I'm sorry I didn't have more time for you, my friend, but thanks for calling today. Well, we're so grateful to have you with us on the program today. I appreciate Robert Youngblood, Jim Henry, and Devin Patrick. Couldn't do it without my amazing team. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and come back and join us tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
90.5 KTXG Greenville, Dallas. Bobby, hashing it out. Expression. Let's talk. The Stand, a blog for religious freedom, to promote Christian values and to expose attacks on the American family. The Stand is a wall of defense and a beacon of light to those in danger. Lift your voice. Visit afa.net/The Stand. That's afa.net/The Stand. This is American Family Radio.
Thursday afternoon, that gunman opened fire on 3 Fargo officers during a minor car crash. That's when witnesses say 37-year-old Mohammed Barakat was in a bank parking lot nearby, opened his trunk, pulled a rifle, and began shooting. Officer Andrew Dodas and Tyler Hawes were critical, but 23-year-old rookie Jake Pauline died. He was sworn in just 3 months ago. Pauline was previously deployed with the Army National Guard in Afghanistan and Iraq. A memorial is planned for later this week.
Flash flooding leads to the deaths of at least 5 people in Pennsylvania. Katie Burton with more.
It's an urgent scene on the ground here. We have seen dozens and dozens of fire trucks, all kinds of equipment pass us with boats and everything that they may need to find 2 little kids that remain missing right now. What happened was the rain moved in so quickly that people in their cars felt like they had no choice but to get out of their cars and escape the floodwater by foot. Those 2 little kids were in one of those stranded cars with their family when this all happened. The family is visiting here in Pennsylvania from Charleston, South Carolina, when the water moved in so quickly the road actually got submerged in feet of water from a nearby creek that hugged the road.
An Alabama woman who previously went missing has been found and returned home. Ashley Stormeyer reports.
Police say although 25-year-old Carly Russell was reported safe Saturday night, they still have a lot of questions. Russell's boyfriend saying she was literally fighting for her life for 48 hours. So until she is physically and mentally stable again, she is not able to give any updates or whereabouts on her kidnapper at this very moment. It's still unclear what exactly happened. 8:20 p.m. Thursday, July 13th, she left work. At 9 p.m., she left a restaurant she stopped at for dinner. 19 minutes later, she called her mom, and at 9:34, that's when Carly calls 911 to report she saw a toddler on the side of I-459 and was going to stop and check on him.
The decline of mainline denominations, urban flight to the suburbs, and rising repair costs of congregations closing their churches, leaving sometimes spectacular but empty buildings scattered in American cities.
According to The Atlantic, as of 2018, somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000 churches a year were closing and leaving unused buildings behind. The COVID pandemic no doubt accelerated the trend. Communities are struggling to find uses for these buildings, some hundreds of years old and cherished symbols in their cities. Some were converted into low-income housing, concert venues, or nightclubs. Some were getting the Joni Mitchell treatment. David Horton of Wall Builders says great church architecture points to a magnificent, creative, transcendent God. He says it's a shame to lose what were once gospel outposts.
There are so many great cathedrals that were built inner city churches that just really were thriving in the inner city. And it's not because the inner city doesn't have needs or have people who would attend those churches, it's just not meeting those needs anymore.
He says in many cases, dying mainline denominations owned the buildings, and when they left the gospel, the people left the church.
You're looking at a church that no longer meets spiritual needs and no longer is relevant. If I can get more on Twitter and a 5-second session that I can get in 2 hours of a sermon that has nothing to do with the gospel, nothing to do with Christ, nothing to do with the Bible, why would I go there?
Horton says the secularization of these abandoned churches may leave cities with a beautiful theater, low-income housing, but without the saving influence of the gospel, which makes Joni Mitchell again. I'm Steve Jordahl.
More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Keene.
AFA is no longer dependent on Facebook or YouTube to live stream our original programming. As of now, American Family Radio shows like Today's Issues, The Court, Airing the Innocents, and The Hamilton Corner are streaming live on the AFA streaming app. Independent live streaming is the next step as we come out from among them and separate ourselves unto the Lord. Search AFA Streaming or visit streaming.afa.net to sign up. Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network for this Monday, July the 17th, 2023. Got all that right. I'm Tim Wildman with Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Fred Jackson. Good morning. everybody for listening. If you want to watch this show, Ed, how can they do that?
Well, they have two ways, Tim. They can go to Facebook and search for Today's Issues. Click through and you can watch the live video stream for this program, or you can go to our own streaming platform, AFA Streaming. That is at streaming.afa.net, streaming.afa.net. Very quick process to sign up and get an account there. You can watch not only the video stream for this program, but other radio talk show programs we have available on American Family Radio, as well as watching at least some of the content we have there on our streaming platform.
That's
streaming.afa.net.
Streaming.afa.net. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Fred, you were joking. We were looking at the weather map for the U.S., and you said breaking news what?
It's hot in Phoenix in July.
Dun, 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 dun. Breaking news. Joking around about it. It's hot. It's hot in the summertime, okay, in a lot of places. But there's a heat wave in the Southwest, right?
There is.
That's stretching across to parts of Texas.
Yeah, Dallas is very hot. My sister lives in the Dallas area. My daughter-in-law has part of her family is also in the Dallas area, and it's been a scorching summer for the folks in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Very hot.
Well, Las Vegas and Phoenix and that area there,
they're kind of used to. I mean, that's typical for them.
Yeah.
For Texas, I think this is above average, but I lived in the Phoenix area for 3 years. That was my wife and I, our first ministry position. And people, some of my relatives back north, I would tell them, yeah, it's been over 110 for 30 days straight. People would say, yeah, but it's a dry heat. and I would say, I've said it many times, yeah, the oven is a dry heat. Put your head in there for a while and see how fun it is.
I remember one time I flew out of Phoenix, and if you fly over Phoenix, every house has a pool. It's pretty amazing, and you know why? Because it's hot so much of the year. You know, you got to have some relief. But it was just amazing to me. I mean, it's how many swimming pools there were across. Looking when we flew out, across Phoenix. Anyway, I hope everybody's safe and staying cool as you can during this summertime. But Fred, what's the hottest news story we got going right now, Fred?
Well, I tell you what, it's kind of
see what I did there?
Yes, nice transition.
Yeah.
A story that we've been covering over the last several months, and that has to be with growing concern about the LGBTQ propaganda that our kids in schools are being exposed to. And certainly states like Florida have taken action to say parents have the right to know what their kids are being taught in school. One of the late stories that we've been dealing with is the growing concern amongst the Muslim community in our country in various locations like Hamtramck, Michigan, where they say, we want to be able to teach our kids our values, and we don't want our public school system promoting the LGBTQ lifestyle. Well, that story has now moved across the border to Canada, and there have been protests by the Muslim communities in Calgary, Alberta, and Edmonton, Alberta, against the pro-LGBTQ curriculum in their schools. They've actually had protests. And to address that, late last week, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went to a mosque in Calgary. And it's rather shocking what he said, but maybe not so if you know Justin Trudeau. He said the big problem he was addressing, and you're going to hear a little bit of a clip, it's a very kind of noisy background because he's in a mosque, a lot of people there. He said to the Muslim folks there, you're being misinformed. It's not propaganda. Your kids aren't being forced to accept something they don't believe in. You're being misinformed because of those right-wingers in the United States. I want you to have a listen, a little bit what he had to say. You have to listen carefully, but you'll hear his voice. Cut number 6.
There is an awful lot of misinformation and disinformation. People on social media
media, particularly to the American are spreading a lot of untruths. If you look at the various curriculums, you'll see that there is not what is being said out there about aggressive teaching or conversion of kids to being LGBT. That is something that is being weaponized.
Well, contrary to what Mr. Trudeau was telling those folks, the frustration reached a boiling point after audio surfaced of an Edmonton Public Schools teacher berating Muslim students for skipping school in order to avoid the Pride events. Here's what that teacher said. It goes two ways. If you want to be respected for who you are, if you don't want to suffer prejudice for your religion, your color of skin, or whatever, then you better give it back to people who are different from you. That's how it works, according to that teacher. So, the same tensions that we've seen here have moved across the border, but I thought it was interesting. Justin Trudeau, once again saying, it's misinformation. You don't have to worry, Muslims. And it's those bad right-wing media people down in the United States causing all the problems.
Yeah, you know what? I don't trust these people anymore. And by these people, I mean people on the left. The quote-unquote progressives, or as Abraham Hamilton calls them, the regressives. To me, what Justin Trudeau said is similar to, in character, to what John Kerry said last week when he was being questioned, and he said, no, I have never personally owned a private jet. Well, a little bit of pushing, and he's forced to admit, well, my wife has one, and I fly on that.
Yes.
You know what? You're lying. You're shading the truth, and you're lying, Mr. Kerry, and that's what Justin Trudeau is doing, I believe. He's lying. His wording when he was talking about, he used hyperbole, said there's not this, this grand campaign to convert people to, young people to trans. Oh, well, it's all in how you define all those words. Okay, so there can be no doubt. Now, I don't know much about what's going on in Canada. I think they're worse than we are in this country, further down the road, so to speak.
More like Europe.
More like Europe. But it is clear that the public school system, by and large, with some exceptions, and we always want to point that out, they're all in. And you have entire states now that are trying to push for policies whereby kids can transition to a different gender, and the parents are never to be told.
Yep.
That's what the teachers are being, how they're being instructed. So it's all in the words that Justin Trudeau uses, and I don't trust these people anymore. And you know what? It's their fault. It's their fault for making us not trust them as being truthful.
This happened in Virginia too. This was a part of the reaction of voters in Virginia, which is not a deep red state, but and a lot of people who are moderate to liberal reacting. People don't want an agenda, the LGBTQ agenda, promoted to their children in the schools when they're supposed to be there learning about reading, writing, and arithmetic. And they sneak this stuff in, unbeknownst to the parents a lot of times, in different various classes. And people are just reacting, saying, no, that's not what we send our kids to school for. Now, with respect to the Muslims, the teachings in Islam are the same as the teachings in Christianity in terms of homosexuality is considered a sin.
Yes.
We can't gloss that over. Okay? A boy, quote, transitioning to be a girl or vice versa is, by most Christians and most Muslims consider that to be abhorrent.
Yes.
And if you're going to promote that to children, you're going to who are in the public schools. This is another reason, a side issue here, while millions of people have been pulling their kids out of public school, especially in these blue states, because they don't want to subject them to these kinds of things. Not to mention the academic failures that are going on in many of these places. So But for Trudeau, he wants to blame it on the American right wing. That's what he said.
Yeah, and I think if I was a Muslim, I'd be insulted by that.
Yeah.
Basically, he's accusing the Muslims of being sucked in by those media down right.
Too stupid to know the truth.
You're too stupid to know the truth. And by the way, your kids are lying to you when they tell you what their teacher told them at class.
Right.
So he didn't win any friends.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's not going anywhere.
No.
And that's the misstep on a lot of these people on the part of these people on the left. They think parents are going away on this issue, and they're not.
They're not. And we've seen that in spades here in the States. In a somewhat related story, you may remember the story of Pastor Pulaski in Calgary. Remember, he was arrested